Hello, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. That sign means one thing. We are back at Billy Reid. Today we are going to hear some amazing stories. And I promise you, some of these stories you've never heard before. Yes, of course, they're going to deal with James Bond, but we're going to go even deeper than that. First thing we got to do is walk inside and speak to Zane Olive. Come on. So everybody likes a good story, but what we really like are obviously James Bond stories. And if you throw a little bit of Daniel Craig in, we wouldn't hurt you for it. This is Zane Olive. Zane, thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely, we really appreciate you guys coming.
Well, first of all, I have to tell you, when I walked in the door, this will tell you a little bit about Zane. Immediately, I get a glass of Balvenie. Thank you. Now, do you have a partnership with them? Or?
We do. We just, Balvenie approached us a few months ago and wrote us a nice check to have some parties and promote their product.
Shucks.
Lucky us.
Yeah, it's a hard day at work when that happens.
Yes.
Well, listen, we want to jump right into it because everybody watching wants to hear. There's been, you know what, I don't want to call it controversy, but there's a lot of lore and legend and stories, and they're all a little bit different. We want Zane to clear things up. We're standing in front of the pea-coat from SkyFall. Zane, how did this get to be?
So this all starts in 2010. Fall 2010 was a great year, great season for Billy Reid as Billy won GQ's new menswear designer of the year. We launched the Bond pea-coat in the fall of 2010 as well, which is actually named after Bond Street, which is the street.
Not James Bond.
Not James Bond, so I guess it was fate from the get-go.
Right.
And that is actually named after Bond Street. The street our store is located here in New York City in NoHo neighborhood of New York. Also in fall of 2010, Daniel Craig is in Nashville, Tennessee. He is visiting his friend, who is, what's his name? Caleb Followill, who is the lead singer of Kings of Leon.
Oh.
Him and Daniel are good buddies. And they go into our Nashville store in the fall of 2010. Daniel tries the Bond pea-coat on. He falls in love with it, wears it actually for a few years until they started shooting SkyFall.
Right.
In about a year later, and at the end of 2011, and he insisted that the pea-coat be included in the movie. So the wardrobe people actually ended up ordering 6 mediums and 6 larges. We shipped them over to Ireland where they were shooting, and he needed the large for action scenes, and he needed the mediums for still scenes. And so you actually can see that in the SkyFall movie and when he's in Shanghai.
So the large potentially to have padding underneath, or
well, Daniel, if you've seen him, he's a stout guy.
Yeah.
And so the medium fit him nice, but he was restricted in his movement. So when he's doing his action scenes, he needed the movement in the large.
So screen accurate is both medium and large.
Exactly.
You heard it for the first time. All right. So I have some questions.
Absolutely.
Now, the original one, the one that you see in the film, is 100% wool.
Absolutely. Yep.
The newer ones have a blend.
It's a 80-20, so it's 80 wool, 20 nylon.
Okay.
When we first started, it's a very structured coat. I know you have one, you've tried it
Yep.
on. So in the early days, we decided maybe put a little nylon in there. That way it breaks in a little more.
Got
Just
it.
to move with your natural movements.
Got it. And we know, I mean, you live this. Daniel Craig has an amazing amount of influence on what he wears as Bond
Right.
throughout the films. Probably more so now that he's a producer.
Yep.
So I guess nobody was surprised, but what did this do for the brand?
It was one of the single biggest moments the brand has had, absolutely. I mean, it's our best-selling item since that point. And, you know, we just, even 8 years later, you're going to find out we actually only have 1 medium navy left in the company right now.
Gosh.
We have no smalls. We do a reorder every July, and every year this time we're almost out.
When we came into the store last time, there was somebody that had called because they live outside of the United States, and you can't find it.
Absolutely.
Outside of the United States.
You can. We've actually shipped these for international online orders to 6 of the 7 continents.
Insane. I remember in the Bond community, what was interesting, have you ever heard of a Instagram called What's Daniel Wearing?
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
I've seen it. Yep.
It's amazing. I mean, it spots all the parts and pieces of what Daniel's wearing, but also what Bond is wearing. And if I can just coax you over for a second. So I can't, but if you can imagine this person would be here. he actually wound up being one of the first in the Bond community to identify it. I think, quite frankly, and maybe this is an admission, after so many years, I get a lot of quote-unquote credit because I did the vlogs and stuff. I did the journal with Billy Reid. There was a lot of, because I'm willing to put myself on camera, but there's somebody behind the camera. I wouldn't call it shy. I would call it humble,
Yes.
which is a better way to put it. But thanks to him, now the Bond community is rabid with
And
this.
that's why we're so happy to have you guys here today.
Well, thank
I mean,
you.
It's, just look at the turnout. You know, we're happy to do this anytime for you guys. So
Yeah, well,
it's
this-
obviously been a huge part of our brand. I mean, without that, maybe Billy Reid's not where we are.
Oh, well, thank you for that acknowledgement. Not every brand embraces things like that. They rely on their everything else, their marketing, but to really embrace the influencers, we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Now, you have a bit of a treat for us, too, because you mentioned Daniel Craig, obviously local boy, New
Yeah.
York, and he's come in here and shopped like a regular Joe.
Yes.
And what are we standing in front of? Maybe
So-
come in a little bit.
Yes, we've got some suits here. We've got some of the stuff that Daniel came in. So July 5th, 2017, Christina, who was here the last time you guys were here, and myself were here about 11:30 in the morning. And obviously the day after a holiday, nobody's going to be in here. Very slow day. We're just kind of doing, back of the house type stuff. And all of a sudden, Christina runs downstairs. I'm downstairs on the computer, and she's like, "I think somebody famous just walked in." So I'm like, "Well, okay, let me go look." So I walk upstairs. I'm like, "Oh my,
Of
I mean, we've
course.
helped some celebrities in here, but not
Yeah.
Daniel Craig celebrity. I mean, big celebrities."
Yeah.
And he's got a hat on. He's got this long, like, gray, scruffy beard and some glasses on. So he's not, easily recognizable
Right.
unless you know exactly who he is. So yeah, I mean, he spends about an hour in here. He buys a couple of our like core suits that we have, just the basic gray, and he got another one with a little pattern to it. Loaded up on some Henleys and some of our, actually the pants that I'm wearing now are garment dyed slim jeans, and just couldn't have been a nicer guy. I mean,
Wow.
we fit him, had to do the tailoring and stuff for him, and he, was asking our advice. Just a absolutely humble guy. Ended up at the end of he was just like grabbing stuff, throwing it down, ends up sitting in that chair, sitting on his hands, and says you could just grab everything in here if he doesn't stop. So
Wow. No
one of the
kidding.
greatest single moments that I've had
Oh my
in
gosh.
my life, really, but especially since I've been working in this store. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Did he tend to gravitate to anything in particular? You mentioned Henleys, like
Yeah,
this
so
Henley.
obviously, like I said earlier, Daniel is a fit guy. He looks good in the tighter fitting
Mhm.
Henleys and stuff like that. So I think the Henleys and really the pants, I'm sure you guys seen him, what Bond's wearing. You've seen how he wears his
Oh.
pants and stuff like that. So he loves like the little roll on the bottom, and so our pants really suit him for that. So
That's fantastic.
yeah, it was great.
And that's not the first time. I mean, I think he frequents. Billy
That's
Reid.
the only time I've seen him in here. I
Right.
know, like I said, he went to our Nashville store when he's there. He obviously picks his moments,
Right.
strategically. But yeah, no, he's a big fan of the brand. Never asked for a discount, even though obviously we'd be happy to give him one.
Right.
But so yeah,
All right. So this next question you may not be able to answer,
Okay.
and that is fine. Although we would love it if you did. Bond 25, Billy Reid. Any potential?
well, I don't know what Bond 25 is. Would you explain?
Sorry, it's the next James Bond film.
Oh, yes.
Why, that's the title, of
Sorry,
course. Bond 25.
I apologize. Yes, we've already sent multiple clothing items to him for the shooting. They're shooting it currently.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Really? Anything in particular? Or?
So, yeah, if you want, Alex, can you
Scoop.
grab that tan reversible shirt jacket for me? Sorry. And so we've actually almost sold out of this jacket that's about to be handed to me that we sent to them for the filming.
And you're going to sell out right
Again,
now. Yeah.
we're completely out of large and extra large. We sent them. It's a completely reversible shirt
Oh, it's
jacket.
really cool.
Turns both ways, so they're shooting with this. Again, we sent 6 larges, 6 extra larges. This one runs a little on the small side.
So they said, yes, we want to
Yes, we
use
want
this.
these.
Wow.
So we've sent some other things here or there. I'm not in charge of all of it, although I did send these over for them.
Right.
But I did see an email where there were some other, like the Henley style stuff going over as well.
Nice. It sounds like it's really, he's putting much more of his personality in this one.
Absolutely.
Even the
yeah.
pictures that we've seen, it looks like a Daniel Craig, James Bond, like intermingling, if you
Right.
will.
And like you said, obviously, because he's been so popular, he's producing it now, they've
Yeah.
allowed his influence to really come in, which obviously helps us out even more when he was able to pick it out. So
That is fantastic. All right, so Zane, what's in store for Billy Reid next? Kind of in the bigger vision.
So we've, we actually changed leadership about a year ago to try and take us sort of to the next level. A lot has changed over the past year. We've really are working on a core product where we have about 40% of our line is going to be stuff that we remake. The denim jacket you're wearing now, denim's a big part of that. The denim, work shirt. And so denim's a big part of that. The garment dyed slim jeans, all of our pants are very popular. So really refining our product instead of making a whole lot, really working on staples that you can constantly add to your wardrobe and then sort of go to our spring, fall line and add to that.
That's fantastic. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you
Yes,
for
thank you
inviting
guys
us
so
into
much.
your home, the incredible stories, second to none. So we'd like to take all of these, if you could wrap these up,
Okay.
whatever you have in stock.
You're looking at it.
I think that's, oh, geez, grab it quick.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, exactly. Zane, thank you so
No,
much.
thank you, David. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you. This has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. We'll see you very soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.